From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 7, streaming now.
And thanks for joining us here at 7 o'clock. I'm Mark Mullins.
And I'm Amanda Starantino. An announcement several months in the making today from Governor Eric Holcomb. He's outlining changes for the state after calls for racial equality across the country and here in Indiana.
We have an opportunity to acknowledge those past wrongs, learn from our history, and admit where we've come up short of our ideals. Then we must get about doing what we've done whenever we face a challenge. Make historic progress together.
About 2 months ago, the governor created an internal task force to come up with changes, which announced today include a new position of Chief Equity, Inclusion and Opportunity Officer for the state of Indiana, a new public disparity data portal so the state can learn about its shortcomings, working with lawmakers to get civilians on the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy Board, and body cameras for state police by late spring of 2021. ISP Superintendent Doug Carter shared his thoughts on today's announcement.
I recognize there's a desire for all police officers to have these body cameras, understand that they're mechanical devices that can fail. So it's important that I take the responsibility seriously and I do this correctly, and I commit to the front line and to the citizens of our state that I will.
The African American Coalition of Indianapolis listened closely to Governor Holcomb's announcement and weighed in on the progress. The organization says this is a step in the right direction and believes whoever becomes the new cabinet member as Chief Equity, Inclusion and Opportunity Officer will have the chance to be a trailblazer.
I think it's going to be important that this person understands cultural competency within agencies. So a distinction that you might find in a culturally competent versus a culturally pre-competent organization. Culturally pre-competent organizations might use the term minority. Culturally competent organizations will focus on Black, Latinx. They'll be able to gather data. They'll have to be interested in data and inquisitive and probative, really, about what's going on with the data to try to understand how to get to equity versus equality, which are two very different things.
Well, you can see all of today's announcement from Governor Holcomb right now at our website, WRTV.com.
Kevin Gregory joins us now with a look at our forecasting. Kevin, it was a beautiful day. I'm hoping we have more of it coming up.
This is foreshadowing where we're headed tomorrow. Of course, we started with the rain this morning, 85/100ths of an inch, but once the rain moved on, as you mentioned, we've been clearing the sky and setting the stage for a beautiful night tonight and a several-day run here where temperatures will be comfortable. How comfortable is it now? 77 in Indy, also in Muncie. Temperatures have been a little warmer to the north and west. Lafayette, for example, at 79 because it had more sunshine earlier in the day and less rain, just 5/100ths of an inch up in Lafayette. The most was down in Shelbyville, just over 1.25 inches. Thunderstorms well south of the Ohio River now, about ready to go through Bowling Green, Lexington, Kentucky. Temperatures down to 64 by the time we get to the early overnight hours, but it's in the 50s tomorrow morning. You'll wake up to 57 degrees, some patchy fog first thing in the morning. We'll zero in on temperatures for the rest of the week, and the trend takes us to the Indy 500 on Sunday coming up.
Today, the number of newly reported COVID-19 cases and deaths have gone up, but the amount of newly tested people has also increased. The Indiana State Department of Health confirms 850 new cases of the coronavirus. The data also shows 28 new COVID-19 deaths, which is also an increased amount from what we've seen recently. So far, 2,954 Hoosiers have died from COVID-19. The State Department of Health reported an additional 12,000 people were tested for COVID-19.
We really don't have any idea if other families are taking the same precautions we are, which does make us a little bit nervous.
And following COVID-19 safety guidelines is not just about protecting yourself and your family, and you never know who may be vulnerable in your community. And that's the message from a Midwest woman with a rare disease who shared her story with WRTV's Cornelius Hawker. Her family is going through a lot as her kids head back to school, hoping they don't bring the virus back home with them.
Erin Anderson and her family haven't been taking any chances during this pandemic.
Taking a lot of precautions. We're getting groceries delivered. We're not socializing with many families.
They're doing this in big part because
I do have autoimmune hepatitis. I'm also pregnant with our third child.
Being pregnant and having a rare disease means Erin is doing her best to avoid getting sick and stressing the importance of hand washing and mask wearing to her boys. But she knows once she sends them off to school, their risk of potential exposure goes up.
You know, there's a much larger group of kids that he'll be exposed to, and we really don't have any idea if other families are taking the same precautions we are, which does make us a little bit nervous.
Based in Minneapolis, Erin helps provide a space for those dealing with autoimmune hepatitis through the Autoimmune Hepatitis Association, based here in Indianapolis. Shared on Facebook, they've been hosting webinars since March, giving vital information to families navigating this pandemic with extra worries.
It's been fantastic because there's, when you have a rare disease, there's not a lot of information out there about your disease itself. And then when you add the pandemic into the mix, there's next to nothing.
The webinars and Facebook page has allowed people from across the country to connect and not feel so alone during these difficult times.
I think just the sense of community the Facebook group and page brings is immense.
While folks like Erin and her family are doing their part, she wants others to step up to the plate as well and look out for those in their community.
Whether you have a rare disease or not, I just think it's important for all of us to do our part to stay healthy so we don't get sick and then inadvertently infect other people.
Working for you, Cornelius Hawker, WRTV.
And Erin told us she and her husband did struggle with the decision to send their kids back to school in person, but ultimately they decided in-person learning is worth it thanks to the precautions their schools are taking.
WRTV is hearing from viewers having problems with Indy's rental assistance program. The city offered help paying rent to people who applied through their website, but as Stephanie Wade explains tonight, there's a technical problem preventing people from receiving that help. She's working for you to solve this.
We're really in dire need right now. I'm one of them. I need help. And I thought this would be able to help me, at least for September, because I could do it. I did it all the way until now, and I'm like, I need help now.
Last month, the city of Indianapolis announced it would use $15 million it received from the CARES Act COVID Relief Fund to help thousands of Marion County residents with rent. Over the course of just 3 days, the program received over 10,000 applications. Last week, Kimberly Thomas finally received an email providing her with a code that her landlord needed to use to complete her application. But when they went to do that, her landlord told her her son's name was on the application, as he is a dependent on her lease. A mistake, she said, but the landlord could not complete the application because of that. Thomas replied back to the Indy Rent email, to which they responded, quote, "There have been several applicants that have had this challenge. The system does not allow edits after you submit the application. The only opportunity to be considered if your landlord will not complete as is, we can invite you to resubmit an application once the application reopens." The pandemic and the state's eviction moratorium now expired. She and others are at risk of being kicked out of their homes if they don't receive the rental help and receive it soon.
It's other women and our single parents out here with kids, babies. Where are y'all going? That's really my concern. Where are we going after this?
Stephanie Wade, WRTV.
Well, City Rep tells WRTV they are working on a workaround. They say the problem was in how the resident input the application. Rental assistance program staff are supposed to be reaching out to her landlord to work through this issue. We do have a list of running rental resources for you at our homepage at WRTV.com. Still ahead on the news at 7 here, the pandemic is changing the way buildings are designed. A look at how one company is making last-minute modifications so employees feel safe working from an office again.
But first, the country's Surgeon General explains his thoughts about a nationwide mask mandate.
From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 7, streaming now.
One of the top health officials in the country is talking with WRTV's Rafael Sanchez.
The U.S. Surgeon General, who used to be Indiana's health commissioner, has a message for those returning to school. Dr. Jerome Adams supports wearing masks and questions a national mandate.
And Dr. Adams, in light of your 3 W's, do we need a national mask mandate?
I'll be very direct with your question about a mask mandate. I am supportive of mayors and of governors, and Governor Holcomb, kudos to him for the statewide mask mandate. From a federal perspective, I think a lot of people like to say we need a national mask mandate, but they don't talk about how we'd operationalize it. But from a federal perspective, we could send in federal troops to enforce a national mask mandate, and I don't think that's anything anyone wants. We could deny federal funding to states if they didn't comply. And again, in the midst of a pandemic, as a public health professional, I'm very wary of denying funding to needy states. Or we could work with states and cities and give them the education and the engagement they need to do the right thing.
A number of school systems are starting their academic year today. IPS will go back 100% remotely. In Johnson County, Franklin schools will use a hybrid model. What is your message to parents as they are concerned at a number of different levels about sending their kids back to school?
Great question. I have a 16, a 14, and a 10-year-old. And to be honest, we debated about moving them back to Indiana so that they could go to school in person here. We know that there are real health risks to not having in-person school. Child abuse reporting is down 50% in Massachusetts. And we know we're 4 million children behind on their vaccinations. We know that children who aren't in school are more likely to be obese and to misuse substances. So real health harms for not having in-person school. But we can't forget about the fact that children don't go to school alone. They go to school with teachers, bus drivers, security guards, cafeteria workers. That the power to contain this virus lies within our hands. Please do these simple things. It's not political. It doesn't matter. The virus doesn't care if you vote for Trump or Biden. The virus doesn't care what your politics are if you're a Democrat or a Republican, but the virus does care if you're maintaining social distance, washing your hands, and if you're wearing a face mask. And if we do those things, we can get through Labor Day, we can get through flu season coming up, which is also important, and we can get to a COVID vaccine and back to some sense of normal.
The U.S. Surgeon General, Jerome Adams, joining us right here on WRTV. Thank you so much. Best of luck to you and your family.
Thank you.
A cooler pattern for a while in central Indiana. We're all in the 70s, enjoying low humidity. How long that lasts, coming up.
Tonight, the Postmaster General is changing course on some major changes that were put into effect as more voters plan to cast their ballots by mail for the presidential election. Louis DeJoy now says the retail hours at post offices will not change. Mail processing equipment and blue collection boxes will remain where they are, and no mail processing facilities will be closed. DeJoy has been accused of making the changes to help President Trump's re-election campaign. He's set to testify before a Senate committee on Friday and the House Oversight Committee next week. Meanwhile, retailer Urban Outfitters is not saying why it removed 2 items that featured the U.S. Postal Service logo, a sweatshirt that cost $250 and a shirt that cost $125. This comes as many people are buying stamps and other official Postal Service merchandise to support the organization.
All right, let's talk about what is shaping up to be a beautiful evening and a nice stretch of weather across central Indiana. We had the rain this morning. That cleared the air, so to speak, lowered the humidity, and now that wind is out of the northeast, I think the drier air, the breeze, will help eliminate widespread fog, but we'll still see some patchy fog probably just due to the moist ground from that recent rain. Low humidity sticks with us until we get to the weekend. Ah, that looks good. Looking from the Motor Speedway to downtown Indy, if you look way southeast beyond Cincinnati, that's where you'd find some showers and thunderstorms. Temperatures around the metro area in the mid-70s, below average. Look at Bismarck, North Dakota, upper left-hand corner of your screen, 97 degrees there right now. The heat is out west, temperature 101 in Salt Lake City and 112 in Vegas. We get our break here for several days, and then temperatures will get back to average, about 84, 85 for us. Again, some patchy fog in the morning, shouldn't be be too widespread. Definitely, we all share in the 50s. 52 tomorrow morning in Kokomo, 53 in Lafayette. Temperatures where they're a little warmer still in the 50s. And it's not just tonight. The next 3 mornings, temperatures will be that comfortable. There are your high temperatures as we move along. We'll start to see those change and go up as we get to the end of the week into the weekend. As far as the humidity, we just kind of follow the bars there. By the time we get to Sunday, the humidity comes back up. The temperature responds. Warmer air can hold more moisture, and it will do that during the day tomorrow. Lots of sunshine that carries this temperature quickly. 74 at noon, but again with low humidity and a nice little breeze out of the northeast, it'll feel great. Shouldn't be as strong as today. We had winds gusts to 26 miles per hour. They'll be 10 to 15 with higher gusts tomorrow. Temperature 80 in Indy, around 80 all of central Indiana. Thursday, what changes? Not much. Still sunshine and low humidity. As I show you the 3-day forecast, which evolves then into the 7-day forecast, Friday we're up to 84 degrees. Stay in the mid-80s over the weekend. The chance for rain Saturday would be in the southern third of the state. Then on Sunday, race day, Indy 500 weekend, 30% chance we'd see rain or thunderstorm. A much better chance, obviously, that we won't. That's your 7-day forecast.
Thanks, Kevin. As businesses across the country work to rebound from the pandemic, construction companies know they need to change the way they build office buildings and how they're designed. Amanda Brandeis shows us one company that had to quickly change its blueprints to focus on keeping employees safe from COVID.
We wanted a place that was our own.
An office space that shapes culture, where employees want to go.
We've always been flexible. We've always allowed people to work from home if they want to and not. And what we've learned is that people do want a place that is their own that we can come into.
Reed Carr is CEO of the marketing agency Red Door Interactive. After years of leasing an office in downtown San Diego, the company wanted to create its own space to foster collaboration and growth.
We were excited when we found it. We had a vision for how this whole process was going to go down.
The company purchased nearly half an acre of property to create a campus-style workplace.
And then up there is going to be a media studio.
But after the pandemic changed our way of life, the company overhauled the design to ensure it was a space employees not only wanted to go, but could feel safe in.
And I think we're definitely going to see it impact workplaces, homes, marketing, shopping, everything.
The new campus will incorporate touchless features throughout the buildings, like doors and water bottle filling stations. They're creating outdoor meeting spaces with heaters and shade to be used year-round. And inside, they're investing in the best available HVAC systems for air filtration.
I'm learning all this stuff as we go, but we're looking at like hospital-grade type stuff. So, again, the perspective we took is there's always going to be flus and colds and stuff, so why not?
In addition to their own socially distanced workspace, employees will have designated areas separate from visitors, including the kitchen, which will feature accommodations for food prep and hand washing, as well as a new snack station allowing for minimum contact. From the kitchen to conference rooms, the company reinvented each aspect of the campus.
Certain things never change. You want to feel like you belong to something and you want to connect with people.
As some companies consider moving to remote work permanently, Carr says there's value in a workplace designed to support employees. But to make it work, flexibility and resiliency is key.
I mean, this is our home.
In San Diego, I'm Amanda Brandeis reporting.
Today, the Indianapolis Colts entered day 2 of practice in full pads. New quarterback Phillip Rivers, who had spent his entire professional career with the Chargers, is working to get comfortable with this offense, including all the receivers. Remember, because of COVID-19, there are no preseason games for the Colts. The team is scheduled to kick off the regular season on September 13th with a road game against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
And the timing's been perfect, Mark, for some comfortable temperatures with practice. Next couple of days, temperatures all hover around 80. Tonight, the stage is set for a beautiful sunset number 1. To open the windows, let that low humidity air in. We'll be down to 57 tomorrow morning with just some patchy fog. Sunshine at 80 tomorrow afternoon. Amanda?
All right, thank you, Kevin. And we'll leave you with this live look outside of Lucas Oil Stadium and the rest of Indianapolis. Thanks for making WRTV your choice for news. We'll be right back here at 11. We'll see you then.